More of us, less of us?
Just less of the granola, but a bar or whatever.
I'm just George Costanza in right now.
Yeah.
Let me just finish it and you guys chat.
You watch. Yeah, you got to get one of those cough buttons. They tell you in broadcasting you got to hit the mute when you eat your muesli.
I'm not from LA, so that stuff's probably not come up here yet.
We don't really have that kind of setup. If we hit mute or pause or something, then the whole episode normally fucks up.
Yeah, I got this cousin out in Florida, and every time we're on the family Zoom, she's always eating, and it just upsets everyone.
Florida's kind of its own place, though, right?
Yeah, she's like 5'2", 170.
Kind of like just got traded, drafted in NFL draft kind of size.
She's kind of like the same height if she's laying on her side.
Yeah.
What was the final score in the big game, Warriors game, man?
Oh, they scored like 140 or something.
Wow.
It was just they just purely dismantled those guys.
I watched it out in solidarity to kind of get on the same level. The pod, great game.
Yeah, man, it's nice to have your sports team win, even though it really doesn't make a big difference in how your life is going to turn out.
It matters a lot. It's also good to see anyone, as you would know, as a classic rock and music lover, anyone at an elite level, watching anyone at an elite level just feels good.
Yeah, you feel a kinship with Steph Curry out there when he starts hitting those threes. You're like, yeah, I can relate to that.
Especially when it's a big, game night for you too.
Yeah, I'm actually icing my foot right now, just like kind of a athlete getting ready to.
What happened?
Just getting the swelling down, I think I've been some of my stage moves have been getting a little violent lately.
Well, I've seen you perform many times, and your live performance score is pretty high.
I put a lot of effort into it. It's almost kind of a Springsteen style, kind of like desperation. Like it's not necessarily fun. It's like you just really, it's just really important to you that you leave it all out there on the stage.
I see that because you kind of meditate a little bit leading up to the gig. You got to get your vibe just right, and then when you finish, it's kind of like you got nothing left in the tank, and you got to just head home.
Yeah, there's no joy.
That was the party. Like that's what Smokey Robinson always said. Everyone said, "Hey, where are you partying, Smokey?" And he'd say, "Man, that was the party."
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't.
He's a
feel
wholesome guy.
I'm just trying to get it over with personally, but
I just want the show to be over so I can head back to the hotel and commit some non-consensual acts.
With yourself.
Yeah, normally with myself. But, I'd like to say I'll turn your daughter's house into a fucking slaughterhouse. You know what I'm saying?
I've heard you say that loads of times.
Yeah, it's kind of my catchphrase. It's kind of my thing.
I think Johnny Depp borrowed it a little bit.
Yeah.
We're finding out.
He's settled down a bit, so me and Jimmy Sweet and the boys, we kind of got to pick up where the old vampires left off.
I saw a thing, the other day. It's so funny, let me remember it. It cracked me up. Because, everyone was, on Team Johnny, and now, it's Amber's turn, and she's, just giving it right back. You know, and he just sounds like a clown. They're both just rampant narcissists, and it's interesting for that reason kind of alone. But there was something recently, I know what it was, that because he's he's, as we know, he's actually a musician. He's not an actor, and he's never considered himself one.
Best guitarist in LA.
Yeah, the only person better is the guy who hides behind his amp actually playing his solos. Yeah. But
which I believe is John 5.
Johnny 5?
I think John 5's the one that's behind the curtain.
Yeah, the grassy knoll. Well, he said, Johnny Depp, I think he actually, smashed a mirror and, wrote it in lipstick or, nail varnish on a wall, something like, Carly Simon said it best, Amber. I guess it was a You're So Vain reference. You know,
I sure
when they
hope
had
so
an
because
argument.
if
I
it
saw-
was about a different song, it would have been pretty much lost on all of us.
I saw a thing the other day that was a quote from Johnny Depp, like in the 90s, saying that it makes him fucking sick to his stomach when actors try to become rock stars.
Interesting. Well, he
But
was.
he
He
was
never
like-
did that. He was always a rock star.
Yeah, but he was like, you know, you'll never see me up there
Yeah.
on stage trying to like play the part of a rock and roller.
Do like a.
It was
Bowie
literally
song.
like it was a quote like against
Amazing.
himself, what he does now. It was quite something.
You should never say never because that stuff always comes back.
Yeah.
When the midlife crisis hits and you decide to become an artist.
Or Joe Perry gives you finally get that call from Joe Perry.
We're all waiting for that call.
I mean, if I could just meet, I recently got a hold of one of Joe Perry's old patch cables, and I felt like I could feel his spirit running through.
Feel his pectoral workout regime running through that.
Yeah, it
patch
made me
cable.
feel like I'm not doing enough push-ups.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been feeling like that recently. I've been drinking like a little bit too much beer, and I feel like I've kind of got that 5'2", 170 kind of mentality right now myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had a birthday recently, and we kind of, I guess there's the tradition now in America is it's become an entire week as opposed to just the one day.
I think that's just
And
for girls, man.
It's everything, yeah. But it
by
is,
the
yeah.
end, by the end of that, I was feeling pretty terrible about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm back in business now.
Hey,
Well, your
question.
birthdays are always a pretty big event around Liberty Street.
Just a
yeah,
quick question.
I'm a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, we all know that. With regards to like Johnny Depp as an example, so like with sex appeal as a category, you know, I've said one of the greatest tragedies of this court case is that he just looks like a bloated mess of and he was so beautiful, and it's hard to watch. Does he still get a high sex appeal score based on his peak
Prime.
look?
I think
I
so.
think so because people like Amber Heard and all the moms that wait outside of the Chinese theater for the
vamps.
Pirates of the Caribbean autograph signings and things, they just close their eyes and they just see
Old
21
Johnny.
Jump Street. They just see Crybaby John Waters in their mind. So you can just kind of just imagine that it's still prime Johnny if you just kind of...
And that's how the category works.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, it's you can't. I mean, everybody ends up not being that sexy when they get older. So
No, that's not true.
well, like I mean, if we're talking about the guys who are like 80 and stuff, you know, like it's. I mean,
No, I'd still take Sam Elliott for a spin around the block.
I guess, but I just mean a lot of people, their sex appeal fades with age. Some people, so
Tony
Some
Bennett.
increase.
Tony
some
Bennett's
increase,
maybe
but so it's
increased.
the only fair way to rank it is in their prime for everybody.
It's
Some
I think
people peak later and sexually.
Yeah, Tony Bennett, he did look good.
yeah, he's
Sally
still-
Kellerman, I thought
still
was
does.
hotter towards the end.
John Prine.
I actually think Roger Waters looks pretty good.
Roger Waters does look good.
Yeah,
he
like
does.
maybe better.
Well, he's in good shape, and it goes to show that you can. I mean, well, my sort of convictions are quite firmly on the fact that you can be a rock star, and you know a lot can happen to you. You can. I think you can even go bald, but you can't get fat. That's the only one you can't do. And Roger Waters is in like great shape, sinewy. So all that anger keeps him lean.
I think he's a bit lighter personality-wise, too. I know he's angry online and in press conferences and stuff, but when I see him, he kind of seems a bit... There's a bit of levity that comes with age that he seems to have, and I find him personally more attractive than when he was brooding in the studio. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just me.
Whereas Gilmore's the opposite.
Yeah.
I met Waters a couple times. My friend of mine, John, he's playing the Gilmore role in the Waters band,
Yeah.
and he says nothing but lovely things about him.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. He's never said anything about him sexually. I don't know. I've always found Pink Floyd to be one of the least sexual bands of all time.
Yeah.
Try having sex to, Saucer Full of Secrets. It's really fucking weird. Or even like
9 Inch Nails.
Or even worse, like a Sid solo record, like Madcap Laughs.
You ever had sex to 9 Inch Nails before, Lou?
I can't do any music. There was this girl over here last night, and she insisted on listening to the song Think About You off side B of Appetite for Destruction, just on repeat.
Nice.
And by about the 14th time it came back around, I was just like, I don't know if this girl's right for me.
I think if I was gonna
14th time, huh?
It was more than that. It was hours and hours of one song on repeat, and she was just loving it. I'm like, I don't think we're a match.
Yeah.
And I do love that song. I mean, I love that album. You guys were talking about perfect albums, top to bottom,
it's
no
pretty
skips.
close, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking
0.
at it to remember. There's no
skips.
There's no skips, no. It's a strange one that it opened. It's So Easy is an amazing song, but it's a strange song on the record.
Yeah, I always thought Night Train would be a good track one, but that's
Night
just probably
Train's
because
Welcome
they
to the
open
Jungle
all the
is
shows.
Night Train. Welcome to the Jungle is a great track one.
Oh my God.
I mean, you can't beat it. That's
You
probably
know
up
what,
there.
man? This is a really
It's a
good
10 out
one.
of 10 album.
It is. I mean, You're Crazy. It's good. It's a bit. It's a bit of a track 10.
I prefer the acoustic version off of the Lies EP.
Nice. And Rocket Queen. Yeah, no, it's good.
Rocket Queen's a masterpiece.
Anything goes tonight.
That's probably the weakest.
Yeah,
track.
maybe it kind of sounds like a Toto song. maybe.
Did you kind of agree with some of my assessments of the only ones I could think of? Like Born in the USA was kind of one of the only ones I could really think of that's like kind of all
in
hits to me. Like anyone could be a radio single.
Springsteen's like that. He'll only put 7 or 8 songs on an album.
Yeah,
Because he knows he's not going to risk. He's not going to risk those 2 or 3 duds.
skips.
Where does
Yeah.
that get him? And we know that he's high on endurance. He's an 11 on endurance. But where does that kind of decision making get him? Does that hit kind of
business?
Does that hit business acumen?
Oh, sure, for sure.
Because he's got some interesting points against him in the 70s, business wise. Disputes,
Well, he
label
solved
know
that
what he
out.
does.
Solved that though. Mm-hmm. I think if you come back in the
From
80s
that.
stronger,
Yeah,
then you're fine. Okay, I have a big announcement to make.
nice.
That we ranked the Beatles, and we were trying to get Paul
I
because
find that hard to believe.
Paul's 2 points higher than John, and we were sort of like trying to fish for a way to dock Paul a couple of points to make him even with John, and we're like, whatever, we're not going to force this. But somebody wrote us, Sam Quinn,
Right.
wrote me, plays in Joe's band, great guy.
I look forward to meeting
And he
him
wrote,
over
and he
there.
said, Paul should be docked a point in business acumen
Interesting.
for losing the rights to his songs to Michael
course.
Jackson
That's
in the
true.
80s.
Yeah.
And I thought that's totally true.
Totally
that
true.
makes it a 9. Makes it a 9.
Is he? Didn't we get him down to
No,
9?
he's a 10
anyway?
in business, so that'll be a 9.
I like that. Yeah, that's totally true.
Yeah. He got out businessed by MJ.
Yeah.
Big time. MJ 10 for sure.
No,
Michael
I mean
Jackson.
his sex life maybe knocks his business. No, I guess no one really
Business?
cares, do they?
I mean, he
That's like kind of
Those
legacy, I
album-
guess.
yeah,
Legacy
Legacy's
affected.
iffy.
Sketchy.
iffy. So I hate
I
to
don't know.
I hate to say it because I'd love to just sit around here and talk, but I kind of feel like we got the man here.
Yeah, we've wanted.
I'd
to do
love
this.
to just do some ranking right off the bat here. 'cause
Some LA
we,
bad
we got
boys.
some guys to get through
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Guys that you know a lot about intimately, intimate knowledge of them, and probably their whereabouts right now. Where they are on the strip, for example,
Yeah.
right now. Presumably, you have an app on your phone that tells you kind of where Kiedis is.
A tracker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keys
Frusciani tracker.
You'd be good.
Well,
Go ahead, Lou.
I just want to say that I'm morally opposed to ranking the arts in any way, but
Uh-huh.
let's do it.
okay.
Nice.
But let's go for it.
That seems to be.
I don't like pitting one chili pepper against another.
Well, then we'll only do one then. We don't.
Okay.
Yeah, because obviously, I can understand why you might feel that way because obviously, once this is done, there's no way you can have any other opinion in life but to think that this, one artist is better than the other.
Yeah.
Well, especially if you just go back 2 weeks later and re-rank the same fucking 3 artists over and over again on the next episode.
Exactly. No.
But I was also a little bitter because I thought maybe the last time Frusciante left, I might have gotten the call, but they gave the nod to Klinghoffer.
Well, Frusciante's back. One of the things that I'd like to talk about that just in general as when we get to business acumen. But I was just wondering how you feel, Luke, kind of when it comes to, with regards to, fashion. Obviously, you're a big Kiedis guy. Like, how do you feel about, his shorter hair look that he's been kind of rocking for a while?
Think his hair looks
and why
great
haven't
right now.
you kind of followed suit?
I don't have the head shape to pull off the short hair.
No.
He's got a very long face and kind of a narrow head, and that kind of lends itself to that kind of shaved sides, aerodynamic kind of look.
Do you prefer it bleached or natural?
I liked him blonde. I liked him when he had the kind of Ramones Iggy Pop thing he was doing for a while when he let it get a little longer. I mean, he's always looked good. For an older man,
it's fascinating. Sex appeal. He's
very high.
I mean, guys, it seems to me we can cover a lot of this during the ranking process.
No, you're absolutely
we're jumping around categories here.
Right. I just was excited because I think
let's start with Anthony Kiedis then.
I think he's going to score really high.
I don't think process is a word.
What is it? Process?
Or you just kind of jazzing out there, just kind of more like.
That's why it's hard to believe Michael J. Fox in an American role because he's always like sorry and all like Back to the Future.
Yeah,
you're like, dude.
Well, he's paying for it now, buddy. So
yeah, God always wins.
Anthony Kiedis hangability. Luke, go ahead.
I know that a lot of his bandmates find him a bit annoying.
I think he's had a lot of drug problems and that kind of thing.
His stuff in his book with him and Flea when they're really young sounded pretty fun.
I think his hangability is pretty high.
He's definitely had some really hot girlfriends. It's always nice to be around beautiful women.
Ladies love him.
Yeah, it's always a good sign, I guess.
It seems like he'd be a good hang.
He goes to the gym.
He can go maybe a bit too far. Yeah, and then it can get a bit dark.
Kind
maybe
of under the bridge. Kind of.
Well, he's part of that elite Hollywood AA Illuminati.
I didn't know he was
community.
I didn't know he was NA.
Yeah, it's a very upscale. They hold secret meetings at private residences.
A lot of people I know,
only the top people are invited.
A lot of people I know have. I'm sure you have maybe 70% of the people you know down there are in NA or AA, but everyone ends up kind of dating someone who their first experiences of meeting people who are AA are in LA. I find a lot of my friends who move there, they end up dating someone who's in NA, and it's kind of it's fine, but then it gets really weird really quickly. Gets a little bit kind of Kubrick.
You kind of have to keep within your own. It's almost kind of like Orthodox Judaism or something.
Yeah, it's a little bit
you
like
keep
that.
To your. So you almost have to think of his hangability and his social.
It's going to be low
ranking.
Then,
almost
that stuff is really weird.
Yeah, it's got to be within the context of
his eyes wide shut, NA kind of.
Yeah, just knowing that he can only fraternize with a select.
Magic Castle kind of vibe.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's pretty. A lot of these guys have gotten low hangabilities for being among that kind of elite.
Yeah.
Who
else is in that crowd though? I want to know, Luke. Who else?
Well, a good example would be Frusciante and Flea. They're over at Viper Room with Johnny Depp.
Yes.
And
Joaquin
and River and Christina Applegate.
Nice.
And Kiedis is not hanging. He's under the bridge downtown.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think it's a 6 for me.
His dad's shooting him up and stuff.
I think he's an
his dad is probably a way better
guy.
Hang.
Intense energy. I'm gonna go 6 for me.
I think based on the this TMZ scoop that he's in the kind of Eyes Wide Shut Hollywood like AA world. I'm gonna say 5, like max.
But I also don't like to. I don't like to be judgmental towards people that have what you'd call some would say is a disease, and they're forced to kind of get their life together.
You don't have to be judgmental about it. Like all the power to it, but like they're a bad hang.
Seemed like he had like beef with other musicians and stuff too.
Did he?
Like the Beastie Boys and stuff like that.
Yeah, he had Mr. Bungle and Faith No More thrown off a bunch of tours because he felt intimidated by Mike Patton's
vocally.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he's kind of had Mike Patton has a kind of similar
comedy element to his singing.
There's something similar to what he does, but Mike Patton does it much better.
More operatic, maybe.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. 5. Luke, what's your score?
5 is fine. Frusciante, Flea, I would put much higher.
Me too, yeah. I'm going to say 5 even is kind of high.
Flea seems like a great hang.
Yeah. I think 5 might be high, but I'm okay with it.
That's okay. We won't give him too much of a
Have you ever hung around with, like, serious AA dudes? It's pretty...
Well, you got to judge him in their prime, too, when he was partying.
A couple of them are in my band.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. It's true.
And the other night I was
great
recovering.
guys, though. They're great hangs.
Yeah.
Tom and Richard are really fun to hang out with.
They're not too weird into the cult.
And they're really funny and got lots of energy and make jokes and stuff. They're not like dark or something.
Another thing practically to think about with people who are like deep into sobriety like this is they're not often available to hang because they have to go to meetings a lot.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's hard to rank somebody that's just not around.
Yeah.
Well, ranking's hard. So
yeah. Okay, 5's fine.
Technical ability.
Oh man.
Pretty low, right? Like, does he play an instrument? I don't think so.
He's one of the most off-key guys to ever step on the stage.
Chops is what we now call this category. Chops, kind
Yeah.
of. So I think it's for Kiedis. I mean, I love him. Great.
He's really good at rapping.
He's going to score high in a lot of categories, but I think technical ability's got to be like a 2.
Yeah, I'd say he's not really. I mean, I've seen those.
He's really on key now. He did something, or maybe they have an auto-tune or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they use Travis Scott technology.
And he never even like really tried to like learn guitar or anything.
I don't think he ever tried to learn singing or rapping or any. I don't think he's just kind of letting it happen just naturally.
He's
whatever
more
comes
natural.
out.
He's more natural.
I think he's 100% natural.
He plays a little guitar on "Give
Does
It
he?
Away" and a couple
I mean,
of
his
those numbers. He holds it. He stands there. With
I guess
it.
I guess he dances though a bit. He kind of has some moves.
It's more of a natural dancing, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
It's
thinking
not-
of the "Give It Away" video specifically.
Well,
here.
yeah. I mean, live performance. Forget about it.
his live performance is quite high.
We're getting to that.
Some people will tell you the Chili Peppers are the greatest live band they've ever seen in their entire life.
Yeah. I mean, I know my sister and brother-in-law, a lot of that kind of 90s Lollapalooza crowd, that
Yeah.
a lot of their friends, they say that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking like Socks on Dicks era,
Just,
like pre-Californication.
post that, but like pretty
Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic.
pretty
Before
insane.
Frusciante left.
Yeah,
the first
before
time.
before One Hot Minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a great
Lollapalooza 94, Luke? Was that they played? And
I don't know the exact year. I didn't.
there was a big one
didn't
that was
make
like
it.
Cypress Hill, Chill. My brother-in-law has the T-shirt. It looked like quite a lineup.
Yeah,
I got to see the Chili's quite a bit on the Stadium Arcadium tour, which
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
was
bit-
2006.
It's a bit later. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Technical.
still great.
I'm going to say 2, guys.
yeah, feels good.
That's fine.
Natural ability.
It's pretty high. I mean, literally, he's like managed to create a career by like not even thinking about what he's doing, except for just like
I don't know how much of that is like ability. Like I think like he's good. I don't know how much of his career making is like. I think a lot of that goes into like live performance and like his like natural ability for music seems high, but not like not like 8+ high. to
Well,
me.
ability and natural kind of is a bit of a contradiction in and of itself because it's not an ability. Anything that's natural.
Well, soul.
Like,
I think he's got a
no
lot
one-
of soul.
He's
yeah,
got
for
soul.
he's
got
so
soul.
he's almost as high as anybody.
I
mean,
would say
he's,
so. He's almost like
his
a savant,
his
like Rain Man style.
The path, the path between like whatever the source is, God or whatever you have.
Right.
His connection to that is
Yeah.
about as pure as anybody could ever possibly.
I would
get.
say so. I mean, you see the way he switches like languages that no one else can speak, kind of fugue state style.
I like the way
on
you put that,
stage.
Luke. Yeah. Okay, well, you guys throw a score
it's kind
out
of a
there.
spiritual thing.
I think for him, he's as spiritual as like a John Coltrane style figure, but he's just doing it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Love
Well,
Supreme,
Yeah.
Stadium Arcadium.
Natural, I mean,
9?
I know we don't give tens, so I guess 9 would have to be it.
I don't know if it's a 10, but sure, we'll give him a 9.
I mean, he's all. That's all he is.
That's
No,
the main
the
thing
other
about him.
the next
No,
three
he's going to do
categories
really well.
are going to be
no,
massive.
he's going to do really well. I
That's
know.
not all he is. He's a rock star, and that's
No.
where the other stuff comes in.
No, I know, but I would say that like, he would get up there. I mean, well, we've heard. I mean, other than Mike Patton, I can't think of anyone who would intimidate him because he's so uniquely himself.
I think of natural ability like, yeah, I mean, I guess I think of, you're right. Like, he's almost like a kind of Hendrix
He's a conduit.
vocalist, like where it's like natural,
Luke used the right word. He's a conduit
Yeah.
for something
He's
greater.
he's channeling
He's channeling.
something that you could. It's from another world
you
that
can't.
you couldn't
You
even.
can't buy it. You can't.
And
you
there's
can't
no
learn
band
that.
without him.
There's
Like,
no.
sorry.
He's the most important. Like
Okay.
he's revolutionized
There's
rock
no
music.
There's no California without him.
Okay, Marvin Gaye got a 10. He'll get a 9. That sounds right.
I can't even imagine a world in which the Chili Peppers don't exist. Like that's how
It's like
much
capitalism.
gravity or anything.
Live performance, 10, I think.
Maybe. I mean, I've seen them. Some of those big concerts, like the one they did in Russia, like to like 300,000 people in like Red Square and stuff, was pretty amazing to
I'm
watch.
thinking
but
more back in the
They don't
day.
really sound that good live.
It's
Yeah.
very self-indulgent. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
really they don't have a set list, and they take like 4 minutes in between each song.
No
and just kinda,
tuning.
Like, talk. They just talk amongst themselves. like,
Actually,
with their
I don't
backs
even
to
know
the
why I
audience.
said 10. It's
I guess
definitely
because
not
you're
a
just
10.
like because of their like
Spectacle.
unique spectacle. But I don't think so because I saw like Portugal the Man play recently, and they've got a guy in a wheelchair and stuff, and they were kind of trying to. I feel like they were doing kind of a Chili Peppers thing. They were like goofy, like playing like covers, that like but like jamming on stage. It's not that fun to watch.
I think Eddie Vedder's probably a better better live frontman than Kiedis. Is that controversial, Luke? What do you think of that?
Well, I completely disagree, but I wouldn't say it's controversial.
Yeah.
I think that like
I don't
Vedder's
really
taking
care- I
bigger
don't really care
stage
for Vedder.
jumps. But yeah.
I like watching Vedder perform a lot. Yeah.
But-
You said his band are. You've often said like his band. They're worried if he'll even make it through.
Although some of those stage dives alone
yeah,
are enough to, give you a pretty high banging score in this category.
risk taking.
I mean,
Well, if you think like James Brown or like Ozzy would be considered like a 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kiedis would have
eating
to
a
be like an
bird.
8.
Yeah, I'd say eating
8.
like
8 feels good.
eating the head of a dove's like pretty crazy.
8 feels
he's-
good to me.
he's not
Oh,
on
Ozzy'd
Ozzy
be
level.
great to do.
Yeah,
Black Sabbath is probably that's the best. Like Chili's aren't as good as them live.
No way.
I don't know, man. I've seen
the Chili's live
I've never
acoustic.
seen.
That was kind of weird.
I don't know if Geezer Butler was slapping. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
He kind of he definitely it's more
He's
of a
high up the
thwack.
neck. You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, say this next category and just turn it over to Luke here for some explanation. Anthony Kiedis' sex appeal. Luke?
I know a few women that he's had sex with, and they all said it was really good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name any names, but
I think it's really high.
he's one of the
top cocks in Hollywood.
From what I hear, he's really good at having sex with people.
Yeah, I imagine it's I find him irresistible personally. Early Anthony Kiedis, when he was dating Cher when he was 14.
It's almost like a Jagger kind of thing where he's just like he's radiating.
He's like an animal.
He's radiating sex on stage.
Yeah, he's
like
almost
a wild animal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's almost kind of atavistic.
Like a fucking monkey man.
Yeah.
Those stories where he'd just jump out in the mosh pit and just start having sex with somebody during the show.
Yeah, and also he made it sexy to be raped by Cher when he was 14 somehow.
Yeah, it's strange. Losing your virginity at a really young age for a male is considered kind of like a rite of passage, where if it's a girl, it kind of traumatizes you for the rest of your life.
But hopefully gets you a really good job in a movie.
Johnny called me earlier and said no tens, so...
No, I just said don't be throwing out tens like they're nothing, because
if Anthony Kiedis is not a sexual 10, then I don't know who is.
The only thing I find is...
Have we given any 10s out yet with sexual appeal? I don't think we have. No one's had one yet.
Mick Jagger.
Jagger's not been
We
ranked
haven't done
yet.
Jagger yet.
David Bowie, I would say 10.
Me too.
He gets 5 from both sides, right? It's kind of if you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As
You mean
well.
because the eyes are different color?
No, I'm just thinking Kiedis kind of,
Well-
maybe, does he swing? He probably he probably does.
I think that
he made out with
Guy from Third
Dave
Eye Blind.
Navarro a lot.
I think
Yeah.
that people come on this show. What I was trying to say about the tens, I just
Yes.
want to say this for all future guests.
100%.
People come on this show and they're a little bit afraid of what people are going to think of their rankings.
Yes.
And we'll have you back many times to do this, Luke, and but I think a lot of people are like, I don't want people to give me shit that I didn't give so-and-so a 10 in this category, so they throw out a lot of 10s sometimes.
Oh, I
And
would
I'm
never do that.
Yeah. So
I have given 0. I haven't given 110
No.
ever on this program.
good for you. So
But
sex
this
appeal
might
is
be
a 10. That's
This
a
might
10.
be one where I might have to do it.
I'm going 10.
I mean, I think just
good.
coming out and blatantly showing this much love and respect for the Chili Peppers is a bit of a risk in the Pitchfork community.
I'm a bit more concerned about the fact that he had a 14-year-old girlfriend and wrote Catholic schoolgirls rule.
Well,
which-
we've got Legacy coming up.
Yeah, so...
I've read the book. Fashion. Actually, Luke, please explain.
Well, it's hard to.
I need some
Yeah,
explanation.
you might need
of
a
it.
California guy to
It's
explain
really
it.
hard to rank. It's really hard to rank the fashion of naked people.
But
Because
but
he's
if anybody's
very rarely clothed.
But if anybody's going to notice when he is clothed, it's you. So talk about some of the looks we're dealing with here.
He's had some bad ones.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the kind of BMX wear
Yeah.
kind of in his 50s that he's been rocking.
That's what
kind
I'm
of in the
picturing,
last
like a floppy
He looks
hat.
good now.
He looks really good right now. His pirate
His style
voice
right now
thing
is one of the
peak.
best that he's done.
Yeah,
But he had some bad looks in the mid 2000s.
Clown.
Got bad.
Kind of clown, right?
Yeah, there was
kinda
a
clown.
in
Pretty
the kind of like
Yeah.
in the kind of like mother's milk era. He had that they were all wearing those bowler hats
Yes, that's
with
what I'm thinking of.
with
That's bad.
really wide ties and
Yes.
fingerless gloves that go up to the
Yeah.
elbow.
Jimmy Sweet
it was
style.
It was bad.
That's
I've never
that's
thought of the
first
Chili's
time-
as a particularly stylish.
That's the
group.
first time they put clothes on. To be fair, was for the Mother's Milk record.
and they, yeah.
Quickly took them off again for Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
I don't really think of the fashion much when I think of the Chili Peppers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So for me,
Well,
it's a
it's-
low score, but
Like a
It's one of the
5.
most unfortunate periods in men's fashion too. That kind of mid '90s raver.
Yeah.
The like
yeah, raver is a good word.
the jean shorts that come down to the shin. What do they call them?
Not a good
Jorts.
look. Yeah, I mean, and then like kind of, it's almost like kind of Cholo inspired a little bit.
Well, when he did that, it looked good. But that's more like there's other groups that do that so well, like Cypress Hill. And,
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah, he's kind of
Yeah.
like, he's kind of, he's never been, he might look best now than he's ever looked, actually.
I think
so.
I think it's a 4 or 5 for me.
we can do 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 5's okay. I mean, you get, what do we say? Like, you get like a few points just for putting clothes on,
Yeah,
right?
for trying. I mean, the
Trying.
fingerless gloves. It's an attempt.
Yeah. A lot of kind of studded things.
Business
looks.
acumen. It's got to be low, right?
I think it's pretty high.
I don't think he really paid much attention,
I
did he?
think he's cutthroat, I think.
Is he?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting. You see the way in which, like, the kind of early kind of work, you know, like, as a, like, lower tier band pivoting with Rubin. Like, that's a good decision to work with Rubin. Like,
I think he was on a hot air balloon at that time.
well, that was the next record. That was on the next record with Dave, bringing Dave Navarro in when he got in his hot air balloon.
I kind of think of Flea as more like the business guy in the group.
Flea. But I think the way in which they've like allowed I want to talk about them letting Frusciante kind of come and go as he pleases, as a
He
kind
kind of
of
calls the shots
as a
in
kind
way.
of as a kind of wing of the Chili Peppers franchise, like doing the Johnny Cash stuff. And,
Who calls the shots? Kiedis?
Frusciante writes most of the music
Yeah.
for the band, and then Kiedis comes in and skedaddles over top.
he scats a bit.
Yeah.
Well, that'll
I
bring us
mean-
to our next artist we're going to rank tonight. We're getting to it.
Oh, we've got
Let me
time.
tell you.
But I don't know, business acumen. I mean, they've like their careers like they're bigger than ever. Like
They're still headlining all the summer festivals
They're the top
across the
band.
world.
Well, you were saying that, Luke. So, but is Kiedis? I mean, yeah, I guess he's got to be a player. In
yeah,
that.
and then you think about his book, Scar Tissue. It's kind of like the Motley Crue
Good
book.
point.
The book
Good point.
isn't just like throwaway bullshit. Like it's like sensational.
And they are still big. We're working on what, a 30-year career now.
I think it's like mid 80s would be the first, like 40, I think. Like what
Yeah.
Blood Sugar Sex Magic is 91 or some shit. Like,
All right.
it's
And that was
crazy.
already like their 5th album.
Exactly.
And
Like,
there's still, and the new album, yeah, okay, 8.
I'd say high, yeah. I think
and they're
that,
still putting out new albums as opposed to a lot of their contemporaries that are just riding the 30th anniversary of some other album.
doing the like celebrity birthday party circuit.
yeah.
They're still putting out hits. Number 1, their new record was, but it's not really a business. That's maybe more of a legacy situation.
I think so. Well, I'm gonna go 8 here.
I think it's got to be pretty high, you know. One thing that they haven't done, which would kind of bump them up, which is interesting, is they've not got into doing like features, like where they haven't got in like rappers on their songs and something like Maroon 5 kind of style.
I think that's almost more impressive because they don't need it. They're
Yeah, maybe.
they're like
Exactly.
they're buying into their own legacy.
Yeah.
They're just like, we don't need that. That's almost a desperation business move when you kind of bring somebody in.
They've not been on any shows, like they've not done The Voice. I guess like Flea acted in cool movies.
Maybe now they're doing late night again, Luke. You'd know that. Are they doing the
What?
Tonight Show this album
yeah, they
circuit?
did.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I
they
just
did
mean they
all that.
haven't like, you know, Kiedis could have been hosting like America's Next Top Model or something.
Again,
Yeah.
no need though. 'Cause, I guess because
And also hangability, he probably doesn't have time
yeah.
because he's like in meetings.
Well, I need a score from one of you to get
Like
a
7 or 8.
aggregate
7
here.
or 8.
Luke.
I'd have to say 7. I don't know I don't
All
know
right,
how much
7.
I don't know how much your like longevity and your staying power has to do with business acumen as much as just the fact that they're such a fucking great legendary act.
There you go. 7 it is. Innovation.
That's 10.
I mean,
He's 10.
they invented rap metal.
And he specifically has invented a style of singing that no one has ever done before.
I'm with you. 10.
I mean, like Incubus and all those acts, they tried to
100%, yeah.
they tried to do what Kiedis was doing,
It's kind of
but
like
they weren't able to do it.
It's kind of like what you say. Even though a lot of the bands that they spawned might suck,
Yeah.
you can't blame them. It's like Mike said about Van Morrison
Yeah.
spawning like Blues Traveler,
Right.
which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like Blues Traveler and Counting Crows, so I have no
Right.
problem with that lineage.
Yeah.
But like the Chili's lineage would be what? Like I'm thinking you've got like Danzig, like Faith No More. I'm trying to think of the bands that would have been kind
Not
of
Danzig.
just comedy singers, I'm thinking.
Danzig's more in the Jim Morrison, Iggy Pop, Elvis,
Yeah.
Roy Orbison
That makes sense.
school.
Yeah, American Gothic clown.
I don't know if the Kiedis style of singer is still in
Like
fashion.
Devo or something. Who came first? I think Kiedis is the first in his lineage.
Yeah,
No.
he is the innovator.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
think
It has
so.
to be 10,
I think so.
Because there's no one prior.
Yeah, I don't even think it. We've tried to discuss this like with the. Well, I think that you've heard me talk about this, Luke, where it's like Michael Stipe, Gord
Right.
Downey, Tragically Hip.
He's never heard
the
of
kind
that
of the
band.
kind of like
No idea who
sort
they
of
are.
intellectual, the Tom York, the kind of intellectual, a bit sort of psychotic frontman that's different than Kiedis. That maybe comes from maybe like a David,
Zero sex to those guys.
yeah, David Byrne.
Yeah.
But the Kiedis is a different.
Nerd.
Yeah, it's different. Kiedis is more like sex animal.
Whatever the opposite of a nerd is
Yeah.
Kiedis.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because he's
He's just
coming
like a
more from like
Hollywood
George.
cougar.
He's mixing in some like George Clinton into what he does and stuff.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like kind of
Funk,
surfer skateboard.
funk, punk.
Do you think that like
Crack
a good
cocaine.
Steve Bays kind of comes out of the like Kiedis.
school, maybe Costello, I think that's part of the Costello school too. But yeah, a little bit. But also The Cure. It's a bit. There's a lot going on there, I think. But do you think, for example, I think a good way to settle this would be like in the Faith No More song "Epic." Do you think that Mike Patton was copying Kiedis's flow?
Well, that's where the rivalry first began, right?
Yeah.
Because Faith No More was doing some rap rock just a couple years after,
Yeah.
and he had similar dance moves as well, and a similar sense of personal style.
Yeah, exactly.
But he swears to this day that he hates Red Hot Chili Peppers, and there's absolutely zero influence. So, which I find hard to believe.
Me too. Yeah.
As much as I love Mike Patton, I mean, I named my dog after him.
Yeah. Do you
But-
like his Italian music that he does?
Really great. I saw him. He did there was this Serge Gainsbourg tribute at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was just terrible. It was like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and
Nice.
Sean Lennon, and the lineup was just awful. But then, thank God, Mike Patton came out
Yeah.
and just nailed it.
I'm looking at this feud here. Most of Anthony Kiedis' Wikipedia is about the feud with Mike Patton. Like, it's most of it. There's like a couple of paragraphs on the Chili Peppers, and then literally it's a 30-year feud. They're still going at it.
Well, it just shows you how big Kiedis is, that he, even on somebody else's Wikipedia page, he can steal that spotlight.
I see that Greg Gutfeld, who's an American Fox News presenter,
terrible.
He called Faith No More the greatest band in the universe, getting involved in the feud, taking shots at the Chili Peppers. So that's interesting.
What an that's an unlikely ally.
Yeah, funk
Greg
metal, I
Gutfeld.
guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Small community.
funk metal rap.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Speaking
Anthony
of rap,
Kiedis invented it.
Speaking of rap rock, I don't know. Well, funk metal rap. I really want to get to Steven Tyler.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna get there. It's
so
He's
next
one of
Next
He's one
category
of the pioneers too.
is endurance.
It's got to be. It's got to
Kiedis
be.
has got to be high,
It's
especially consider
10.
the amount of ODs, relapses.
It's 10.
And he's still managed to keep rocking. It's a 10
He's
for
not
me.
even-
That he just still put out he put out a #1 album this year.
He's jacked. He looks good.
Definitely a
He's-
10.
He's like 60 years old.
He's one of the top 10s for me. Endurance.
He's 60 years old.
energy is through the roof.
nearly. Yeah.
His girlfriend is still 14, which is
Yeah.
heavily frowned
Unbelievable.
upon in today's society.
That'll play into legacy here.
Yeah.
Well, if anything, it's a plus because it's almost impossible to get away
11.
with that type of
Yeah,
behavior
exactly,
nowadays. But yet, Kiedis, they let it slide.
All right, well, you
Wyman,
tell me,
George Harrison.
Luke, his legacy. What's it at?
I guess it still remains to be seen because he's a bit younger than a lot of the artists that you rank on here.
Yeah. Well, that has to play into it, I think.
7 or an 8. I think that
Yeah.
his relationships that he has with young women are based on like trauma that he experienced himself at the hands of Cher when he was 14, famously.
And
Yeah,
look,
it's similar to a Michael Jackson kind of situation where he probably thinks that he's a child.
Yeah.
and look, all
Peter
the
Pan kind of
we've
stuff,
said it
and-
many times. Legacy, it's half how you behaved in your life and what you did, and half the music you're leaving behind. And I'm just going to say, as great as I think the Chili Peppers are, I mean, come on. The records are good, but it's not like all
7.
the best fucking
Like
music.
6 or 7.
Like the Beatles get a 10 because of the music.
Yeah, no,
and all
you're
that.
right, you're
like
right.
it's the Chili Peppers. Like there's a lot of good songs, but we're not talking an impeccable track record of music recording.
You've clearly
here,
not
like-
listened to Freaky Styley, dude.
I have actually. I like Uplift Mofo Party Plan.
Yeah, man. True men don't kill coyotes.
Yeah,
that's
I
a
mean I like
classic.
it.
I'd say
but
like 7.
I'm gonna say 7.
7
for
feels
me.
good, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. All right.
I think he'd be happy with a 7. He'd probably say, "What's Mike Patton got?"
Endurance. He's in it for the endurance score. Kiedis.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in great shape.
I'm gonna
He's
add it.
sti-
I'm gonna
he
add it.
still looks good naked.
Oh my god, I wonder what Patton looks like naked. He'll always have that on him, Kiedis, I think.
No, Patton's let it go.
Yeah, you can't let it go.
There's
This
there's
is
this
a
one burrito stand on 17th and Valencia that he's just
This is a high
basically
score, man.
camped
Same as
out
Neil
at.
Young, I think.
73. That's a high score, man.
Right?
He scores well in a lot of these categories.
I think he's up there with Neil Young.
I think because Kiedis is not like your traditional kind of folk blues artist, it's hard for somebody like a Johnny Payne to take him seriously artistically.
Sexually,
I think you're absolutely right.
philosophically.
And Johnny Payne also is a little turned off by people that are that overtly sexy.
From one to another, let's move on to kind of like a kinsman.
I'm not.
of
I'm
Kiedis.
actually. I love that kind of. I'm turned on by him. I love watching him perform like that and all that kind of stuff. I love in a live performer.
I would have sex with Andy Kiedis.
That doesn't
on the
turn me-
record. I'm
but I
saying
do
that.
have a problem. You're right. Luke.
He would have sex with
I
me.
do have a problem. Like musically, I think it's good, but like I don't think that the records stand the test of time against some of the other artists that we're ranking here.
I would say Blood Sugar Sex Magic is
But-
probably as good.
that's
as
taste.
like,
That's taste wise.
as like maybe the White Album.
I
It's kind of a
certainly
similar
agree.
record.
Yeah,
It's a similar style of record.
yeah, certainly. Yeah.
I can't believe you got Johnny Payne to go along with that one.
I'd like to talk about another clown rap kind of scat Cab Calloway adjacent motherfucker, Johnny Steven Tyler.
See, I can do this one a lot. You know, it's hard for me with Kiedis because, like,
Yeah.
I was, that's kind of our era,
Yeah,
and I
no
was, although I was into it, I was adjacent to it.
Yeah, I was never really that into it, to be honest, but I'm more into it now.
That's kind of me too.
Yeah.
At the time, I thought it was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
I like Blood Sugar Sex Magic. It's a great
Same, of
documentary.
course. I love
about
the
it.
tune, the hits.
I wasn't super into at the time One Hot Minute. I like it more now. And then I kind of like after Californication, I kind of pieced out personally.
But Aerosmith
The one
is
after Californication, by the way, is
yeah, I wasn't
it's
really
quite
into
good.
that one. Yeah, at the time I kind of was already. I was kind of like at that point into like maybe I don't know Cat Power or something.
Right.
It's kind of a
Clap
different
your
thing.
hands, say yeah.
Well,
The
yeah,
Edward
hot
Sharp
heat.
and the Magnetic Zeros.
No, that was a lot later.
That was later.
I just said that because Luke mentioned that today. He was talking about Rifflandia
Okay.
in Victoria. And we were actually saying it's too bad you guys aren't playing. That'd be a great...
This year?
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet lineup. And I was like,
We've played
I
it
wish
before.
UConn
The
was doing
catering
it.
was amazing.
Maybe I could get a free ticket if you were playing. It's like $500.
Yeah, the catering was really good. We played it one time with the band who we were talking about them last week. The band who got shot up at the Bataclan in France, and they got flown in by like Marines to play it, which I kind of understand because they went through something really crazy. Eagles of Death Metal.
Yeah.
It's funny because Eagles of Death Metal they're white supremacists.
Yeah, and they're not Eagles.
It was not mentioned when they were being lauded as these heroes and trotted out on stage with Bono singing these like songs about equality.
Yeah, that they were fascists.
I thought they were like Queens of the Stone Age,
Adjacent, yeah.
but
Desert
not
rock.
the same people.
No, but it did get
Josh
brought.
Homme.
Yeah, it got brought.
He's
they
a
were
white
Josh Homme-
supremacist?
No, they were Josh Homme's homies. It got brought like out later when people actually kind of stopped valorizing them, based on real life events. Like what they experienced was horrific, and the people there. But like then when no one had actually let them talk, they kind of been like used by people like Bono and stuff to kind of like, I don't know, make money, I suppose. And then
Raise
when they
awareness.
when they were actually allowed to talk, they were like, if one person had a gun in there, we could have stopped it. Like they were very pro kind of gun. They were like, that's the problem. That's why it happened. So, that being said,
It's a good thing that the PR
sounded like
people
a bad
shut that
time.
down.
All right,
Definitely a
well,
weird concert to decide to shoot up.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Wouldn't be my first choice.
all I know is that there's a lot of history on this podcast between the three of us and Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
We've done at least one episode and talked a lot
did
about him.
two episodes on the pump.
Everything.
Yeah,
So I think we're all pretty well versed in what the man accomplished in his career, the kind of person he is,
Yeah, absolutely.
the type of rock star he is.
Yeah.
So let's start right off the bat here. Hangability. I think that he'd be
Ask his
pretty
drummer,
pretty
honestly.
annoying to be around.
He seems pretty annoying. He's kind of like a sex addict, but not in a sexy way. Like it looks good on Kiedis, but it kind of doesn't look so good on Steven Tyler.
I feel like nobody in his life wants to spend any time with him, not even his own daughters.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
factor into the ranking?
Isn't
I
he,
think so.
isn't he married to his daughter?
One of them, yeah. And then he had a son that is now his dad. It's really confusing.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, he seems pretty intolerable to me.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
his
gonna-
drummer has a twitch because of him.
But I
Remember,
think
he
when
says
you're-
in the
when
Pump
you're-
documentary.
When you're in the mood, it's probably a great vibe, though.
Well, for one night, if
You
you're
have-
if you're
it's-
keyed
it's-
up at the club and he's like rattling off stories and
He does,
scatting,
he does seem
If
like
he's
he's one of the most annoying people I've ever seen.
He
talk.
never
it's
shuts
it's like
up.
Jimmy.
Like-
It's like Jimmy Sweet. You kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. I'd say Jimmy's a better hang than that. You know.
Yeah,
Like,
one of the best.
that's
but
what
you
I'm
have
saying.
to be. You have to be in a mood to.
Good
to
point.
Get,
Good
to
point.
Get in. I feel like if you're in the mood to get wild, Steven Tyler is incredibly entertaining and intoxicating.
I feel like his vibe might be based on the way he performs and stuff, a little bit similar to Paul McCartney, but the extrovert version, like he's gonna be on the piano.
But he's
singing
gonna say
some-
so much dumb shit that means nothing to you when he's like keyed up.
Are you just
and-
talking about the way he sings
No, I'm just saying that like I feel like he's got a lot of opinions
about
Yeah,
himself?
and he likes to talk about them. And
Yeah, but I feel that way about this podcast, and I'm still glued to the fucking iPhone twice a week.
Yeah,
yeah, but when we rank, we don't. You know, we try to keep ourselves out of it because then otherwise things get
you
complicated.
still there, Luke? We lost your video
Yeah,
feed.
sorry, I'm getting a call.
Yeah, you probably need to take that. Hey.
Hangability, I'm going to say 3. He seems like a bit of a... What?
No, 5.
Because Perry's still around. You know, people are still around. You know?
All right, I'd party with him. Sure, 5. Technical.
It's very high, dude.
High?
It's got to be high, technically. I mean, no one else can sing like that. That's learned. He sounds like...
He does sing
He
really
can play
well.
piano and shit, too.
You mean when he's doing that loving an elevator?
Well, he's playing the Korg M1, I think, in that section. But no, I think he's a good piano player, isn't he?
Technical musician? Yeah, he's a classically trained piano player. His dad was He's a great fucking drummer.
I bet.
Wow.
They're all
okay.
That whole band are like.
I don't think I know him as
ripping.
well as I do. I think I do.
I think he like could be Elton John, but he's just got too much energy.
Singing technically is incredible.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I was listening to Crazy on the radio yesterday.
Yeah.
It's amazing how he
It's-
sings.
Yeah. I'd say
Isn't
like
there a song called Amazing? By
I think
Aerosmith?
he
What the hell's
I think
going
he's
on, Chris Angel?
Yeah, I think he's high.
Yeah. Technical, yeah. Maybe. 7?
Well,
Can't be higher
I
than
would
that,
say
can it?
much higher.
I'd say
I think he's the best singer of his entire generation from a technical standpoint.
That's interesting, actually. Yeah.
who's better.
He's
Of
kind
his
of
time?
like more technical than Plant.
Yeah,
in
and
some ways.
Yeah, I'd say he's like more. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, he's learned how to do that vocal fry thing, real good, and
He can
scat.
really do it. Yeah.
Thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it, and it is high.
Yeah,
Paul Rogers is a 10. He might be an 8 or a 9.
I think he would take on Paul Rogers if he wanted to.
Different register, different.
Yeah, a little bit more raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe give him an 8.
I think an 8's a good score for technical
Yeah.
ability. I think 8's good.
It seems low to me.
Well, we'll give him a 9 then, just to even it out.
Yeah, okay, sure.
I mean,
I trust Luke on this one.
I kind of think of him as kind of like next generation of the white bluesmen. Like if Paul Rogers and Rod Stewart and Van are kind of like the previous generation to that, then the
Yeah.
next generation,
Yeah,
there's pretty much nobody even in
his
the
universe.
same league as Steven
Yeah.
Tyler. Maybe like Sammy Hagar or something. I don't even know
Sure.
who would be
Axl
in there.
Well, but then
Rose, maybe.
Axel came
Well,
after. and-
that's the next generation.
Next
even
generation,
after. I'm
yeah.
thinking like Texas Jam '77.
Yeah,
Yeah,
power
yeah.
blues,
Yeah, yeah.
power rock. Yeah, no, I'd say he's really high.
Okay, well then, Luke, I'm really, really curious as to what you'll say about natural ability.
Very high.
Soul, a.k.a. soul.
Yeah,
He's similar to Kiedis in that way that he can just tap in.
yeah, he
he-
can.
He could probably write you a song in like 20 seconds flat.
Well,
and it
that's
would
not
be a hit.
that's not it's not technically true because they were too junked out to write songs, so they got songwriters in, and then and eventually killed those guys too by kind of passing on their drug habits to them.
Well, there's two. Yeah, I guess that there's two kind of periods of. There's like the drug years, and then the AA co-writer Diane Warren cover song years, which
Yeah.
sometimes I even prefer some of that later stuff.
I think that's the best stuff.
Well, I think the kind of Bruce Fairbairn era Pom Pomwoods is kind of like, for me, is like when they got the ghostwriters in there.
I didn't know that she wrote Ragdoll. That was written by a woman surprised me.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of got a. Well, that's we were saying it's kind of like the Mask, Cab Calloway, like Jim Carrey, The Mask, kind of like is that all there is?
Mae
It's that kind of
Mae West.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very hot town, summer in the city.
Well, it's that too. Yeah,
Natural. Okay, yeah.
I think it's very
8, maybe
high.
8.
yeah, at least.
Come on here. Come on, we're not going to throw it a...
But look at it. I mean, he's as good. He's like as good. I mean, I feel like if we've given you, I'm serious here. If Smokey gets 2 10s in this category, he's getting 2 8s.
But he's like arguably, one of the pioneers of all of this music. Like
I don't
he's
think
like
Steven Tyler's doing Smokey.
No, but Steven Tyler's he's part of a lineage
He's
of musician
he's
that's
a
already
next
music that's already
generation.
happened.
Next generation.
Smokey Robinson's like none of this would exist without him.
Yeah, so it's 2 8s instead of 2
Yeah,
10s.
exactly. Well, technical, we gave him a 9, but
So, well,
8 natural, sure.
Unfortunately, I mean, I don't want necessarily to give him these scores. It's just
I'm
feels right.
very influenced by the personnel tonight, and I'm enjoying it because I'm learning something. Quite frankly,
Yeah.
I mean, Aerosmith is pretty much, they're considered the American Led Zeppelin. Like, that's how much cachet they have historically and culturally. It might not be your cup of tea, whereas also maybe Red Hot Chili Peppers might not be your cup of tea, but being a professional ranker is being able to put your own personal hang-ups aside and really get to the truth.
Amen. Well, and that's why I've agreed to these scores, and I respect them.
Let's move on.
I don't expect you to go home and crank up Ragdoll tonight.
But I probably will.
I might.
I'd love
throw
that.
on some Christopher Cross or something.
No, I'd rather listen to Aerosmith than Christopher Cross. I could tell you that. Live performance.
It's got to be high.
That's high.
For sure.
Aerosmith's a great fucking live band.
Yeah.
Whereas,
he liked to he'd kick over the piano and that.
He's fell off stage a couple of times recently and really hurt himself, which kind of lowers the score.
I think that higher
but-
makes it higher, personally.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of invented the tassel
it's dipped
block.
a bit.
Yeah. I mean, he's not dipped as far as Bon Jovi.
The scarves
The scarves are huge. That's fashion.
and
I don't
live
know if
performance.
I don't know if I think Aerosmith is still playing all their songs in the original keys.
Yeah. He's
That's
pretty
huge for me.
capable. Yeah, I agree.
The key.
Yeah.
That's a good. That's a.
The last few years, he's seemed pretty fragile. I haven't heard.
I feel
much.
like since they went to Vegas, they lost a couple points in the live category.
And I'm thinking because live performance we've decided now also includes television performances.
Yeah.
And there's that great moment when he's on Carson Daly MTV when he does like a kind of freestyle rap for a bunch of 15-year-old girls and they're screaming. He's probably like 55, 57 at this point.
That was the just push play era. That was kind of the last gasp of when they were still TRL and like number one on the charts. It kind of, I think they've just been doing mostly blues covers albums and working the Vegas circuit since then.
I think that was like maybe that song Pink.
So they're not really
put it
like
out.
doing
It's a good
big.
song.
They're not really doing big arena tours anymore, Luke.
No, I think the drummer's got some health problems, and so does the rhythm guitarist, and they're kind of just doing Vegas and probably canceling a lot of
7.
nights if they're
Well,
not
that'll
if they're not
that'll
up for it.
That'll
7.
dock them some points. How about a 7?
That sounds good.
Yeah. Sex appeal.
It's got to be low.
It's not super low to me,
He's done that crossover. He looked like a fucking sex crazed baboon for most of his career, dressed in makeup, and then recently he's kind of looks more like the woman who wrote the Four Non Blondes songs than she does.
I don't think of sex appeal just about looks, though. I think in his prime, he again radiated a lot of sexual energy.
I think he wanted to have sex with himself. I don't know if anyone
which
else
is
found
what
it
most
attractive.
of these kind of front men did.
I don't think that he was a sexy guy. I mean, I know like the Toxic Twins. Joe Perry, really sexy.
Well, a
I'm
lot of
just
this
saying
goes
it's
into
not-
that.
Yeah.
A lot of it goes into the kind of pre and post sobriety thing again.
Yeah.
Because the sex addiction comes like people like, Russell Brand or the guitar player of the Good Time Boys, Thomas, once you're not able to do the booze and the drugs anymore, all you really have is sex and cigarettes and coffee. And so you start pouring all your obsessive and compulsive behavior into the sex, and then it comes off as a bit desperate and sad, whereas maybe in the 70s, he was probably a pretty sexy guy, but we didn't know him then. All we know is like the
bloated baboon.
The desperate, like middle-aged, like like grasping to stay youthful and still have, the Dracula kind of concept where you need to suck young blood to stay
Where there's
alive.
a lot more footage of Jagger back in the prime era.
I feel like that Pump
I
documentary.
think Steven Tyler's
is
pretty
insane
sexy.
How bad he looks in it. So,
I don't know.
What is this?
you having a brownout down there in Los Angeles? Can't be good. Steven Tyler's onto you. For those who are listening, all the lights in his room are going crazy right now.
The ghost of...
Are you a bit scared, dude?
Yeah, I'm all alone here in the house.
Damn. I don't want to record the end here.
We better wrap this up soon.
What's going on?
I turned off that light.
Sex appeal, I'm going to go with like a 5 or 6.
5.
I'd go 7 myself, but
It's a 6 then.
Damn.
Fashion.
very low.
Low.
Very, very
low. Low. I don't...
Some of the worst.
Like a lot of those kind of drapey kind of...
Yeah. I can't picture much of it, but I know it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm
Cat, one of the big pioneers of the cat in a hat
2
style.
or 3 for me.
Yeah. Like, I'd say like...
3
I mean,
is good.
3. We can't give. I mean, some of these people got to pay if they're low in the category.
Yeah.
Business acumen.
Yeah. I don't
Very
know.
high.
Is it?
Yeah, he's managed to stay relevant even though he hasn't put out a piece of original material in the last 25 years.
I think
that's a skill.
I think also you see him putting the fucking brass knuckles to those PR guys or the label guys in that documentary.
Well,
I think he rode the management and the label hard.
Well, I think also like one thing that struck me in that documentary is how much they were willing to sacrifice and change entirely what they did
for success, which is high for business acumen.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably
That's a business move if there ever was one.
Yeah, they in fact to the point that they kind of loathed it, but they were like, we want to play stadiums, man.
And that's what I think about with this category. I think that if you're challenging management, label reps, these people, you're actually taking the time to care about what the size of room you're going to
like
be
a
playing.
7 or an 8, I guess an 8 maybe.
Well, the fact that they've solidified themselves as the American Zeppelin when they're so far below them
the
in terms
Armageddon
of
soundtrack,
quality.
big.
that was a big move. Yeah,
I think that they're almost more business than actual
music.
art.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I know if you think about it.
Okay,
It's
8.
all very
I like 8 for this.
manufactured.
I think they're high in business.
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
And the American Idol thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
8's good.
But didn't we say like Kiedis got extra points for not having to do
But
that
that's because
shit?
he didn't have to. Aerosmith had to. At that
Yeah,
time,
right.
look at Kiedis in 10 years, see if he has to do that. Aerosmith's
Joe
first
Perry had
album's
to
like
link up with
73.
Johnny Depp.
I'm telling you, man, I bet Kiedis is only like 5 years younger than Steven Tyler.
No way.
Probably about 10, but still, it's close. They're all old.
First
We're
Aerosmith
old.
album's like 73, dude.
He's probably, yes.
Maybe even sooner.
72, something like that.
He looks
Yeah.
Maybe.
he looks demented. If you look up photos of him, it's fucking crazy. No, dude, he's
man.
look at this.
Oh, man.
Anywho.
Okay, innovation. Pretty low. Sorry. I think. They're just taking what Zeppelin did, what the Stones did, and channeling it into an American kind of whatever. But it's not. They're not reinventing the wheel here.
I mean, they invented
Rap rock.
80s. They invented 80s. They invented the entire 80s.
I mean,
The
tell you
rap
what,
rock
the
thing
rap
is
rock
big.
thing's huge.
It's big. It plays into
that's
it a lot.
Rubin again.
But I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about your Warrants, your Rat, your Motley
Okay, I
Crue,
see.
You
your
think
Guns N'
that's-
Roses. That's
But that's
all
also
Aerosmith.
Zeppelin. Also Zeppelin.
If you ask any of those 80s Rainbow Room cock rock guys, they'll all say number one band Aerosmith.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's they're the
The white
template.
whale. They're the white
They're the
whale.
template for what every single like Winger and Slaughter and Trickster and I can go on. White Lion.
White Snake.
Yeah. Well, Whitesnake is actually Coverdale's. He's
Led
actually
Zeppelin. It's full Zeppelin.
he's actually he's part of that same generation as Steven Tyler. He's like 70s.
They kind of made the shift into the 80s. You think Foreigner were doing Aerosmith, or are they that generation too?
No, Foreigner. They were more part of that kind of Journey, Kansas, Bachman Turner, REO Speedwagon.
Thanks for letting those guys in.
Kansas. Yeah, exactly. It comes out of the almost a prog.
There is a prog element.
Yeah.
Like I think that like Foreigner's early incarnations had a King Crimson member
Super
in them.
Tramp even.
Okay. So what I don't remember where
Innovation. Well, I thought it was really
like
low, but
5,
according to Luke,
6.
it's a 10 maybe or.
I think I mean, you might say that that's the worst period in rock and roll ever.
No,
but it doesn't mean doesn't mean that he didn't innovate it.
You're right. So what is it? 8?
Decline of Western Civilization Part 2.
Yeah, it's one of the most important documentaries of all time.
Yeah, it's like Aerosmith.
It's like Aerosmith. It's 10
they
years on
invented
from
that.
Aerosmith.
They invented all the things that were happening.
The strip? You think
at
they
that
invented
time.
the strip?
That era of it, yeah.
Okay.
The entire attitude, the philosophy, the
The
style,
leather.
the leather.
Wow.
Like an 8?
You tell me the score.
I'll go 8.
Okay. Endurance. Pretty fucking high.
I don't know if it's that high, like, because
it
was high for a bit, but
Yeah.
it's like they
This
don't really,
Vegas stuff you're telling
and
me
they don't
about
really
is pretty
play,
weak.
and they don't release records or anything.
Yeah.
They
They've not
had a
released
pretty good
anything.
run, though.
Yeah, they did, but it's only 30 years, and we've got some it's not as high as the Chili Peppers.
No, they did. They're kind of from early 70s to kind of 2000. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's now 2022.
But
They
they're
haven't
still
done much since.
They haven't done any albums or
No, he's fell off stage a couple of times. He's 74 years old. I looked it up. Bless him.
I think it's still pretty high. I think they
The
did
fact
well.
that they're still playing live and
Yeah, and the
people are-
90s stuff they
thousands
did,
of people are still coming to the shows.
The 90s stuff was like that they were still like a big band.
It's crazy that they were able to. No, they became a big band. Really, I think as well. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I think for me it's at least a 7
7's fine.
endurance.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Legacy.
Huge.
Yeah, I guess from what you've told us.
I mean, in terms of Spinal Tap clown energy, because they're the most Spinal Tap band.
They might be the biggest American band of all time.
I thought that was CCR to you.
No, I think they're the best, but not the biggest.
Do you think they've sold more or less records than the Chili Peppers? Probably
Maybe
more based
yeah.
on like the big hits.
90s stuff for sure.
Time.
Love in an Elevator.
Crying, Crazy.
Dude, Pump was like number 1.
Yeah, I think
Album.
every Chili Peppers record's probably gone to number 1 since Blood
Yeah.
Sugar Sex Magic. But they've not. I mean, think about Under the Bridge, but they've not really had they never had a crazy crying kind of Alicia Silverstone kind of era.
Aerosmith's probably bigger than the Chili's overall, but not currently.
Can we settle this once and for all? Are they named after the island on the mountain on Vancouver Island, Johnny?
Which mountain?
Mount Aerosmith.
Never even been there.
That's a real thing.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's a mountain on the island.
I'm just looking up the Chili Peppers. How many number one hits they had?
Albums. They're an album band. They're a serious band.
Yeah, I think Chili's might have more hits.
This is something we need to look up, but we're probably not going to do it right now. You probably got a gig to play. Hey,
Anyway,
Luke.
Legacy, it's obviously high.
I remember.
Aerosmith,
Like 8, 7, 8. I don't know. But it's Aerosmith.
Eight's good.
I guess Steven Tyler's would be even higher, wouldn't it, really?
I think 8's good for
Fuck,
Steven
he's gonna,
Tyler.
he's gonna get he's gonna be over there with Smokey, dude.
No, he's not.
That makes sense. He's kind of the yin to Smokey's yang a little bit.
Let's be honest. You wouldn't be ranking these guys unless you already coming into this held them in the highest possible regard.
Exactly.
You're not out there like just ranking bozos.
Well,
69.
that feels real. That's perfect.
That's perfect. 69,
He'd
dude.
be so happy with that.
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good.
He's just like not quite as good as the good ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but somehow Kiedis is on par with Neil Young.
Well, Kiedis is still going.
You got a lot of 10s, Kiedis.
You got to think that Kiedis Kiedis could go down. He's still got time to change it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Next week you just re-rank them all, right?
I feel like endurance for Kiedis. I mean, 10 is,
It's a bit high, yeah.
but it's kind of like he's still got time to fuck that up.
He's 50.
Like,
He's 57 or 58.
for me, it's just about all the drugs and stuff. But Tyler did that too,
Yeah, but it didn't work out as.
and he got a 7, dude.
But they've not done anything for 25 years. He barely.
Anyway,
even
the
played.
rankings of what it is. We'll get Luke on next week.
The
We'll re-rank
legacy
them.
I might have put higher, but
Written.
We'll re-rank them all.
Yeah,
next
we'll get
week.
you on next week. We'll get you on and we'll just re-rank it.
maybe I'd rather discuss something different.
That's fine.
Exactly. Well,
You
it's
guys,
lovely. Lovely to
what
speak
happens
to
if you
man.
rank? Do you guys ever rank like
No.
Johnny Thunders and like Joey Ramone, these type of people?
We'll
Or
get
is that
we'll get
they don't
Jessica
sell it?
Espelita on to do that stuff.
They don't have the record sales
Yeah.
necessary to make it onto this
Listen,
program.
we've been doing this podcast now, as you know, for about 166 episodes, and there will have to be a point that we pivot to doing new wave punk and kind of like CBGB stuff, and when that happens, we'll rank them.
But I thought there was like a minimum like 30 million sold worldwide,
Well,
or
let me
else
tell
you don't
you,
even
Luke.
acknowledge them as artists.
Well, let me tell you, buddy. We on this podcast,
We'll do Strummer.
our business acumen. We're trying to keep up around a 9-10 level,
Yeah.
and
Right.
we understand that the world as a whole, they only know about like 10, 20 artists from this
Right.
era. So we're trying to stick to those to kind of maximize our output.
So true.
You know? So to get the most listeners, you know, we're niche.
That's why your business ranking's so much higher than mine.
Yeah,
We're
it's really
niche
hard.
enough in our own music careers, you know. We're like obscure enough, and like.
No, I've seen your Spotify. You got some plays.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
I love you, Luke. Thanks for coming on.
Love you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a great gig tonight. Say hi to Jimmy, Tommy, Richie.
Who's on drums these days?
Richard Gowan, the great,
Steve Gadd.
clean and sober.
Some of the best, some of the best times you can have in LA are backstage at Davey Wayne's on that deck.
I would say front. I would say front and center. Honestly, unless you're Alex.
No. If you want to have a real good time, you hang out. Well, Alex got her fucking teeth knocked out at the show last time.
That's my point.
Well, that's live performance high.
Yeah, but you know, out back there with a couple of ice cold Coors, just listen to the Good Time Boys riff. I mean, that's some of the best times you can
A
have.
couple of lines of strawberry flavored cocaine.
Yeah. Turning your daughter's house into a fucking slaughterhouse.
That's what
Hell
I've
yeah.
often said. I've heard you say it a lot.
All right,
At
Luke.
least 6 times in the last hour.
Okay, take care.
Later,
Thanks very
buddy.
much
Thanks
your
for coming
time.
on.
Have a nice
Yeah.
show.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.